Imagine, if you will, a year like no other in the lives of many. A year destroyed by a global pandemic with murder hornets, meth gators, and wildfires. Businesses were shut down. Concerts were canceled. There was one thing that kept people sane, and that was heavy metal. So I submit to you 5 heavy metal albums by bands that released albums this year. The year is 2020, and the place is the JC Rock and Metal Zone. So for today's video, I'm using the term modern metal. Now I needed to find some kind of like keyword. So I'm going to define modern metal as a band that formed in the year of 2000, maybe a little earlier, but the bulk of their releases were released after the year 2000. So that's kind of like the gauge I'm going by on this one. I'm going to go through 5 bands. Some you will probably know very well, others are kind of underrated. So let's get started. And number 5 is Suicide Silence, Become the Hunter. So this is a deathcore band from Riverside, California. They were formed in 2002. The band began as a side project from members of other bands, but later they committed to forming this band, Suicide Silence. So this album is a return to form. The previous album, they kind of went into a different direction, and it was in a more of like a 90s nu metal sound. A lot of people didn't like that, so they decided to go back to their original, their deathcore sound. It's heavier, guitars are down-tuned, the vocals have a lot of variety, there's some low gutturals, high screams. The track Two Steps, that's a really good track, has some really amazing blast beats in that one. Other cool tracks are Feel Alive and Skin Tight. This album, a lot of people liked it, some people didn't, but for me, it's not a bad album, so I think you should check it out. And number 4, I have Lamb of God with their self-titled album. They're an American heavy metal band from Richmond, Virginia. They formed in 1994. Now, their style is hard to pinpoint. They're mostly considered to be like groove metal, but there are also elements of metalcore, thrash metal, death metal, maybe a little heavy metal, sometimes industrial. Their self-titled album was released on May 8th, 2020. It was their 10th studio album. I liked it. I think it was a good overall. Might not be as good as some of the others. I mean, Ashes of the Wake. What a great album that was. But it was a solid album. The album opener is Memento Mori. This one kind of has a slow start, which kind of annoyed me a little. But other than that, I mean, once it starts, it like rips. We got Jamie Jasta from Hatebreed. He's on Poison Dream. And we have Chuck Billy of Testament on Routes. So this is a heavy album. Definitely recommend it if you missed it. Next is Spirit Adrift, Enlightened in Eternity. So this band formed in 2015. They have 4 albums to date. And they're categorized as doom. So I have a full review of this album, and I will link it at the end. I mean, it's really a good album. One day I was scrolling through YouTube, and I found a channel called The Metal Meltdown. Now, this is the first time I ever watched a channel from The Metal Meltdown, and he reviewed it early. I think it was on a Thursday. So I listened to his review, and I thought it's not a pretty cool band, so I think I'll check it out. So the album wasn't out yet. I listened to the album before that. They released an album in 2019. So I thought, oh, cool. I'll do a review of this one. It was one of my earliest reviews. It didn't really have a lot of views, but I have a review of this album, and I really liked it a lot. They're considered doom metal, but I found this album to be more in a traditional heavy metal direction. There's one doom metal song. It's Reunited in the Void. Now this one's almost 11 minutes long. This one is a little slow, but I like that one. But the rest of the songs were really good. They sounded like Iron Maiden or Judas Priest. So it's a really good album. So at number 2, I have Deftones with Ohms. So this is no surprise. Pretty much all the other channels I watched gave this one a lot of praise. I mean, they ranked it as one of the best, if not the best. Now, this band has been around since the mid-90s. Most of their albums were released in the new millennium. To be honest, for me, when the band first came out, I didn't like them at all. I thought like the vocals with that kind of like whispery vocals were kind of strange. It didn't really like sit well with me. But I think it was a few years ago, maybe like 3 years ago, I started to get into the band a little more. I listened to White Pony. That's a really good album. And that's kind of when I started getting into the band. So when OHMS came out, I listened to it a few times. I liked it, but then I kind of forgot about it for a while. I gave it a listen the other day, and it's a really solid album. So one thought I had with this was the vocalist Chino Moreno. He kind of sounds a little like Billy Corgan, from Smashing Pumpkins. And the thought that crossed my mind was like, this was like the sound that Billy Corgan and Smashing Pumpkins should have went for with their 2020 album that was crap. But they could have went for like this sound and it would have really sounded good. It has that like heavy, like that fuzzy sound. I really liked it. I like all the songs on this album. Definitely the album closer and the title track is the best. It has some really, really good, nice guitar tones in this one. Very unique. Okay, my last album I'm going to talk about is a band you might not have heard of. They're called SEMBLANT with OBSCURA. They're a Brazilian melodic death metal band. They have both the male and female vocalists, kind of like Nightwish, but a lot darker. It has some of the symphonic elements, not really much of the operatic elements, but they're really heavy. So the vocalists are Mizuho Lin and Sergio Mazhul. She has a clean melodic vocal style, and Sergio uses more of like the aggressive, like the guttural style. It's a really unique band. The track Be a Shadow, it's a heavy melodic track. I really like the vocals on this one. They have Daydream Tragedy. This is a haunting ballad. They just released a video for this. It's like a quarantine edition music video. You can check that out on YouTube. Now, the way I discovered this band was the video for What Lies Ahead came up for me on YouTube on some playlist or something. And that really got me interested in the band. So I recommend that too, What Lies Ahead. It's a fairly new band. They've been around since 2006. They're very underrated. I don't think really other channels have mentioned them. But you should check them out. I recommend them. That's about it. Let me know in the comment section. What do you think? Any other albums I missed in 2020? This is going to be my last top 5 of 2020. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I do recommend reviews, rankings, top 10s, and all sorts of things. Give me a like. It helps out the channel. And other than that, I will see you soon.